It is a great honor to be featured in this special issue of the CALA Members Spotlight. I want to express my most sincere gratitude to all the CALA members and friends who were responsible for creating it. To be a life member of CALA from its inception as a Midwest Chinese American Librarians Association to its becoming a national organization has been a great privilege and a rewarding experience during my library career. I want to thank Dr. Said Chung Lee, the founder of CALA, for inviting me to join the Midwest Chinese American Librarians Association in 1975 when I returned from working in Thailand for 7 years. Inspired by Dr. Lee's vision and leadership, I was able to take part in the transformation of CALA into a National Association of Chinese American Librarians, in the drafting of its first constitution and bylaws, and by serving as a board member and then president. I was fortunate to be able to help lead the efforts towards the merging of the then California-based Chinese Librarians Association with the fast-growing national CALA that originated in the Midwest. All this is now past history. As CALA continues to grow nationally with an increasing outward reach internationally, it has attracted numerous talented and dedicated Chinese American librarians, as well as others who support the objectives of the association, into its membership. This expanded role is invaluable to the continuing growth of CALA as it meets the ever-changing and challenging world of librarianship in the years ahead. Being featured in the special issue of the CALA Member Spotlight is a great privilege. I know of many other CALA members who are far more deserving to be featured than me. I look forward to seeing the many more distinguished CALA members featured in future issues. Happy 40th anniversary to CALA and all its members. Dr. Lee. The life of Dr. Hwa-Wei Lee, a scholar, a library leader, and ambassador. Dr. Hwa-Wei Lee was born in Guangdong, mainland China, in 1931. During that time, his father, Li Ganjun, was the county head of Su-Wei in Guangdong. He studied in the church school when he was a junior, later attended Yanjing University, and joined the National Revolutionary in 1928. His mother, Wen Xiaohui, was born of a renowned Fuzhou family and had been well educated in the church school. Hwa-Wei grew up in a time when China was caught in the war with Japan, starting from the Manchurian Incident of 1931. During Hwa-Wei's childhood, the family moved around the country and to Vietnam. In 1932, they moved to Nanjing, where these precious pictures were taken. Hwa-Wei was the third of 7 children. He has 1 older brother, 1 older sister, 3 younger brothers, and 1 younger sister. Hwa-Wei's older brother, Hua Xin, joined the Air Force to defend the country during the final stage of the Sino-Japanese War. To move with the family, Hwa-Wei had his primary school education in Guilin, Guangxi, and middle school in Sichuan and Nanjing. After the breakup of the Chinese Civil War, he returned to Guilin and spent his sophomore and junior years at the National Han-Min High School from 1947 to 1949. Hwa-Wei's family moved from Guangxi to Taiwan in 1949 at the end of the Civil War. He entered the Taiwan Provincial Taichung First High School for his senior year. He took part in the extracurricular activity, the Mobile Education Services of Taichung City. In 1950, Hwa-Wei entered the Department of Education of Taiwan Provincial Teachers College, later named Taiwan Normal University. He was a thin, tanned, quiet, and gentle person, and was popular among the students. Hwa-Wei was very interested in extracurricular activities such as publishing the campus magazine and joined several societies including the Modern Drama Troupe. He was especially talented in basketball, track and field, and he represented the Department of Education at their annual college game. In the 1950s, the relationship between the mainland and Taiwan was under high tension, and Hwa-Wei participated in several combat training sessions in Taiwan. In 1954, Hwa-Wei graduated from Taiwan Normal University. After 1 year of ROTC training, Hwa-Wei was assigned to work as the Dean of Students at the affiliated elementary school of the Taipei Junior Teachers College. In September 1957, at the age of 26, Hwa-Wei went to the U.S. for graduate studies in education at the University of Pittsburgh. His aunt, Phyllis Xiao Chu Wang, and the student minister for foreign students of the University of Pittsburgh, Reverend Paul Offenheiser, were instrumental in making it possible for Hwa-Wei to come to the U.S. for graduate studies. The main building of the University of Pittsburgh is 36 floors high and is called the Cathedral of Learning. Hwa-Wei spent 7 years in Pittsburgh for study and work. It was from there that he started to build a bond with libraries. In 1958, he became a student assistant at the University of Pittsburgh Library. At the University of Pittsburgh, Hwa-Wei met his classmate Mary Frances Craditchville. They got to know each other in the comparative education class and encountered each other many times in the cafeteria next to the library before they went out for a date. During the Thanksgiving break, Mary invited Hwa-Wei to her parents' house for dinner in Jeannette, Pennsylvania. In January 1959, both Hwa-Wei and Mary received their Master of Education degrees from the University of Pittsburgh. On March 14, 1959, Hwa-Wei and Mary wed at Mary's home church in Pennsylvania. In the same year, Hwa-Wei became a librarian at University of Pittsburgh at the encouragement of the library dean Lorena Garlock. Hwa-Wei worked full-time in the library, starting with the cataloging and acquisitions of Chinese books. After work, he continued to pursue a master's degree in library science at Carnegie Mellon University. After finishing his master's study in 1961, he continued his PhD studies, majoring in education and adding a minor in library management. In 1962, Hwa-Wei received a call from the library dean McCann at Duquesne University and accepted a position as head of acquisitions in African Special Collections. He worked there for 3 years and was promoted to head of technical services in 1964. During the time in which Hwa-Wei started his library career, he and Mary had 3 children, Shirley, James, and Pamela. In June 1965, Hwa-Wei completed his PhD degree from the University of Pittsburgh. Recommended by his advisor, Dr. Lee was hired by Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania to become the assistant head librarian. He was in charge of the building design of the brand new library. In 1966, Dr. Lee was promoted to the head librarian's position and became the first university librarian in the U.S. with a Chinese ethnic background. These family reunion pictures were taken during his term. An unexpected opportunity came in Dr. Lee's 30s when he was a young library leader. In August 1968, he was recruited by the U.S. Agency for International Development to go to Bangkok, Thailand, serving as the director of the Library and Information Center at the newly established Asian Institute of Technology. Mary and their 5 children went to Thailand with Hwa-Wei, and they spent 7 years there. Their 6th child, Bob, was born in Bangkok. Under Dr. Lee's leadership, a new modern library was built in the suburb of Bangkok to replace the crowded temporary library. He renamed the library Library and Information Center and added an emphasis on information services, especially information for Asian engineering projects. With this new focus, the library built great relationships with many information centers and government agencies of Thailand's surrounding countries in Southeast Asia. A computer retrieval system was also built. Later, in 2001, Dr. Lee served as a Fulbright Senior Specialist at Chiang Mai University. He was honored by having a private audience with Her Royal Highness Princess Maha Chakri Sirindhorn of Thailand in the Royal Palace. In Thailand, Dr. Lee and his family had the opportunity to travel around the world. With the end of the U.S. Foreign Aid Project in Thailand in 1975, Dr. Lee and his family returned to the U.S., where Dr. Lee accepted the position of Associate Director of Libraries at the Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. He spent 3 years in Colorado. He was in charge of technical services and collection development, gaining valuable experience as a senior administrator working in a U.S. research university library. In August 1978, Dr. Lee was appointed Director of Libraries and Adjunct Professor of Education by Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. During his 21 years as the Dean of University Libraries at Ohio University, the university libraries underwent exceptional growth. Its collection increased to 2 million volumes, major renovations were accomplished, and a regional annex was constructed. The library endowments grew to over $8 million, and the first digitization project was secured. Under his leadership, the library became one of the founding members in the statewide system, OhioLink. It has become one of the top 121 research libraries in the United States and Canada by gaining membership at the Association of Research Libraries. In his term, Dr. Lee created the International Librarian Exchange Program to train librarians from developing countries and areas in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Ohio University also became the home of many Chinese librarians, students, and visiting scholars. Close to 170 Chinese librarians studied at the library as visiting scholars. Dr. Lee organized and was involved in many international library conferences, and the impact of his work was felt all over China and other countries. He started the series of China-US Library Cooperation Conferences in 1996 and has been a tireless ambassador for the Chinese and American librarian communication and collaboration efforts. Dr. Lee's distinguished service to Ohio University has been recognized and applauded. He was selected as the 1987 Ohio Librarian of the Year and an honorary alumnus of Ohio University the same year. When Dr. Lee retired from Ohio University in September 1999, the Board of Trustees of Ohio University named a new library building as the Hwa-Wei Lee Library Annex. He was also inducted into the Hall of Fame Librarians of Ohio by the Ohio Library Council. A permanent office was built for Dr. Lee in the library annex. He continues to serve as an ambassador and promotes Ohio University even after his retirement. At the same time, Ohio University Libraries named the first floor of the Vernon Alden Library as the Hwa-Wei Lee Center for International Collections. Immediately following his retirement from Ohio University, Dr. Lee was invited by the world-renowned OCLC Online Computer Library Center as a visiting distinguished scholar. He assisted in welcoming many librarians from China who visited OCLC and in organizing a number of library seminars in many Asian countries. In February 2003, Dr. Lee accepted the appointment from the Library of Congress to serve as the Chief of the Asian Division. Since taking this position, Dr. Lee has revamped its staff, secured funds for 7 new positions, and reorganized its vast collections to ensure it had one of the finest Asian collections in the U.S. He also established the Asian Pacific American Collection at LC. The Asian Division organized many scholarly programs. Dr. Lee established the Asian Division Friends Society. Madam Anna Chenault was one of the founding board directors. After serving libraries for 50 years, Dr. Lee retired for the second time in 2008 at the age of 77. At his retirement party, Dr. James Billington, Librarian of Congress, expressed his appreciation to Dr. Lee for his outstanding accomplishments. Many of his colleagues, guests, and media reporters attended the party. After retirement, Dr. Lee went with his wife, Mary, to Jacksonville, Florida. Mary was glad that he would finally have more time for the family. However, in 2009, Dr. Lee began to take part in the China-US Librarian Collaboration Project and served as the U.S. Project Evaluator. He is still busy attending and presenting at international conferences and seminars. In celebrating Dr. Lee's 80th birthday in 2011, the Symposium on the Library Thoughts and Contributions of Dr. Hwa-Wei Lee was held in Shenzhen, and 2 publications were officially launched at the symposium. The Sage in the Cathedral of Books, the distinguished Chinese American library professional Dr. Hwa-Wei Lee, and collected works of Hwa-Wei Lee. The symposium was co-organized by Sun Yat-sen University, Guangdong Provincial Zhongshan Library, Shenzhen Library, and the Research Institute for Public Libraries. Led by Haipeng Li, a number of CALA members traveled from the U.S. to Shenzhen to take part in the symposium. At the same symposium, the Phyllis Chu Wang Memorial Scholarship Fund, established by Dr. Hwa-Wei Lee at the Zhongshan University's College of Information Management, was awarded for the first time. On May 16th through 19th, 2012, Dr. Lee organized and attended the 5th International Conference of Institutes and Libraries for Chinese Overseas Studies, held at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, Canada. Many CALA members also attended and presented papers. On June 9th, 2012, Dr. Lee was conferred an honorary Doctor of Letters degree by Ohio University. Retired, but not really retired at all, Dr. Lee is still busy, and you can still see him active in conferences here and there. He is a scholar, a library leader, a husband, a father, and an ambassador.